If not, the minutes are approved. The first two items on our agenda, PD 25-012 Jenico West Mud Creek and Z 25-023 Jenico West Mud Creek. Those have both been pulled, so there will be no action taken on either one of those. Which brings us to S 25003 Taewan Park, 3521 South Broadway. Anna?
Good afternoon, Commissioners and everybody present. This is a request for a special use permit. It is located south of the southwest intersection of West Amster Street and South Broadway Avenue. The property is currently zoned C1, which is our light commercial district. Special use permits are granted for special uses that are not allowed by right in a zoning district. As per the Unified Development Code, SUPs are approved for a specific period of time, typically 1 year, 5 years, or indefinitely after analyzing the impact of the use in the neighborhood. The adjacent properties to the north, south, and east are zoned C1 and are developed with commercial uses. The adjacent properties to the west are zoned R1A, single-family residential district, and are developed with single-family homes. The application proposes a major food truck park with 9 food truck sites. The commissary and restrooms are located on-site in the existing building. The food truck shall comply with all applicable regulations of the Northeast Texas Public Health District, adopt building codes, International Fire Code, Unified Development Code, and all other applicable federal, state, and local laws. The Unified Development Code requires 2 parking spaces per mobile food unit, along with 1 per 100 square feet of designated seating area. Currently, the site has 36 parking spaces, which is more than this required number of parking spaces. Screening and noise regulations will be as per the city regulations. An SUP was approved in December of 2022 for 1 year. The applicant did not apply for a new SUP and has been operating the business without approval. The business has received zoning and occupancy violations. Formal complaints have been made regarding site lighting, which has been corrected. The police department has also received reports of disturbance of noise, aggravated assault, disturbance fights, vehicle burglary, and welfare concerns. The owner did not operate the food truck park in compliance with the previous site plan that was approved. The property is zoned C1 light commercial district. The UDC only allows food trucks to operate in C1 zoning if they are at an approved food truck park. It is not the intent of the ordinance to approve food truck parks for 1 truck to operate or for sporadic activity in relation to another business. They are intended to be primary use of the property. Of the 13 notices that were mailed, no notices were returned in favor or in opposition of the request. Staff has performed a technical review and finds that it is inconsistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends denial of the special use.
Thank you, and you said inconsistent. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, any questions for city staff? If not, are there persons here who would like to speak on this item? Yes, sir. If you'd come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Todrick Kane, and my address is 1327 Bedford Road, Tyler, Texas.
Okay, kind of get a little closer to the microphone if you can.
I need to restate that?
Yeah.
My name is Todrick Kane, and my address is 1327 Elk River Road, Tyler, Texas, 75703.
Okay.
So I'm here to try to get an understanding on this special use permit, because when we was here last year, we were told that a special that we could have a commissary which consists of 8 food trucks. And the special use permit was for us if we was gonna run 5 or more food trucks at one time, which consisted of major food truck park. And when our special use permit expired, on the language that we were going off of, that you need at least 2 or more trucks operating at one time, we start operating one truck like everybody else does in Tyler. So we really wasn't breaking, well, I feel like we wasn't breaking rules on that language. So for them to say that we were, like, I just really need that to be explained to me, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do, Kyle, you wanna?
Sure. So the special use permit authorized the owner to have multiple food trucks on the property. The UDC in C1 zoning, C1 zoning only allows mobile food units to operate if the property has a special use permit. So the ability to have even one food truck on the property also requires a special use permit. So I understand Mr. Kane mentioned that once they received notice that the ability to have a food truck park had ceased, had expired, that they went to one truck on the property, which again would not be a food truck park because it's only one. However, the zoning itself did not authorize even one truck. So it may have not been a violation of the special use permit to have one, but I guess it came down to whether the code allowed it at all with or without a special use permit. So as it were, when there was the approval for the food truck park with the special use, the SUP, that effectively allowed the property to have mobile food units on it. And when that expired, then the code did not allow any.
Let me make sure, I appreciate that. In addition to that, when we have special use permits, they're monitored for complaints and issues that have arisen on those. And that's the case in this situation. There were complaints, concerns.
There were concerns with the property in general. One of them was the lighting. There was a light issue which was corrected by the property owner. That's not necessarily specific to the food truck operation. And then essentially what we're doing here is if the request is to allow for another food truck park to operate, then what we're doing is a technical review of, well, what's happened, what has been the activity on the property itself since then. And that's the data that we provided, the number of code complaints, and then also calls for service. I think we thought that would be helpful to the commission as to whether they wanted to extend this further or to have that information to make an educated decision.
Thanks. Mr. Kane, any questions for city staff? If not, Mr. Kane?
Yes, so is the special use permit for me operating more than one truck, or is the special use permit also for me having a commissary? Because the commissary I thought was different from the special use permit. So am I allowed to have 8 trucks on my property, or 1 truck on my property, or does the truck have to be operating to kick in that special use permit?
C1 zoning allows for a commissary, so
So the trucks are allowed?
so it's not subject to the special use.
Okay, so
The
it's-
operation of food trucks requires the special use.
So even with one truck, now you're saying that it needs a special use permit?
That's what the code requires, that's what we're looking at here.
I was just trying to get it clear because on the last language we went by, it took 2 or more for a minor and 5 or more for a major, so that's why I needed the clarification.
At the same time, after we got shut down.
Excuse me. We'd be glad to hear what you have to say if you'd state your name and address for the record.
My name's Kate Porter, I am the property owner and also his partner. I've been in business, and I've been in here in Tyler since 1980. And I've been operating Shogun for the last 35 years. And never had any issue with anybody, no city. And this is my property, I got him started on this business together. So he's just fresh, brand new businessman in Tyler, Texas. And when we got shut down, at the time it was shut down, I talked to David on the phone. He said, what was the reason for it shut down? He said, you have no food on the parking lot, and your permit has to have food coming from food truck. That was the only reason that he shut us down. That's kind of related to that special use permit. I was trying to explain it to him. I said, reason we got that special food truck permit to operate multiple food truck at one location, which is not allowed in Tyler without no permit. So we came up here last year, said we want to create this special food truck environment. And y'all are allowed us to do it for 1 year because y'all weren't sure how it's gonna just kind of mess up the traffic and how it's gonna be, because we're right on Broadway. If we're just gonna operate one truck, we did not need that special food truck permit. That one truck can go anywhere in Tyler and operate. So actually, that was my understanding of a year and a half ago. And then when we opened and when we got time to do that special use permit expire, my wife got a letter at her house. He didn't go directly to him. He actually came to me at the house. He didn't go to the business. So as soon as we got that letter, and I sent it to him, I said, hey, your food truck license. So I said, you need to get this taken care of right away, whether we use multi-truck or not, because this is something that we've been having for the last year and a half. So we applied right away, and put $700 application fee, and we're waiting for this meeting. And in between, Kyle comes in and says, hey, we're gonna revoke your CO. I mean, right on the spot, without even any notice. They said they sent the certified mail. We never got it. Not my wife, not my house, nor business got any kind of certified letter. And he brought that letter, and the next day, we actually wrote a letter. When Kyle showed up, we wrote a letter saying, hey, this is what we're going on. We didn't even have time to send the letter in. They just shut us down next day. Next day, David came, hey, we're shutting you down today. And I was like, I told Todd, I said, somebody's gonna shut you down. They give you grace period so we can work this out. You don't come to business, shut next day. It's not that he shut us down. He shut 7 LLC in 1 day. That's 6 foot truck that is tied in as a commissary that operate throughout the city. He shut 7 businesses down in 1 day without no notice. So I was like really shocked. And I was like, man, he know we have a meeting here today, Tuesday. I told David, hey, we got a meeting Tuesday, it's been set up. No, you don't have no food on the food. You don't have no food in the bar and lounge has to have a food. We know that. I've been in the restaurant business for 30 years. We know we have to have a food. And I tried to tell David, we always had that one food truck running, which it doesn't require special use permit to operate one truck on the parking lot. And he said, no, the CEO said that you have no food truck permit, therefore you have no food truck. Therefore you have no food, we have to shut you down. Hey, we have no problem with TABC, we have no problem with health department. We got 93 on the health department. David, we have food in it. We do DoorDash. We have food. And he didn't want to hear that. He said, no, you don't have, he just adamant about that special use food truck permit. I asked David, I said, Lowe's have a food truck. Home Depot have a food truck outside. Do they need a special food truck? Well, I don't know, they might. You can't answer questions like this. We have to be firm. We have to know why we shut down. Now, if he did something wrong, certain minor, we shut down on the spot. 100% I agree. We obeyed by the law, city ordinance all time for a year and a half. You can't just come to one business, shut 6 businesses down at one time. And I was kind of shocked. So that says, hey, let's go to, well, we have a meeting here today, so let's go talk to those guys. Let's get clarification. And we read up, and I called my friends, and they read up, we read through the whole city guidelines. One food truck on the parking lot does not require any special use of permit to operate. And I said, well, let's go up and see what city council has to say. I mean, we need that clarification. Food Truck Park was first time in Tyler, Texas, a year and a half ago. And nobody had any ideas. And that's why y'all were like scared, hesitant to give us 3-year, permit. Said, we're gonna give you for 1 year, then we'll see how it goes afterwards. And within those years, we had no issues, no parking lot issue, no traffic jam, nothing. And we realized, we ran like 3 food trucks at one time during those 1.5 years. But we realized they weren't making any money. And those food trucks said, hey, we're just gonna use the commissary, we're gonna go in different places. Because we cannot make a living here. So, hey, let's just make it into one, so one can survive. So the rest of the people are just the commissary. They use our kitchen to prep their food, and they go to their destination. And that's how we operated. So I told them, special use permit, we can't be food truck. We're just gonna be bar and lounge, and we're gonna accommodate the food truck. And that was our goal for almost last 7 months after that expired. I didn't know it expired. Tell you the truth, I'm gonna be honest with you. We got no notice, no nothing. And when I got the notice, that's where we reacted. But at the same time, we were not violating any laws whatsoever. And I was shouting at Kyle, and he walked in to see, we're gonna revoke your CO. Without any reason. You have no food. I said, we do have food. We have DoorDash. Look at our account. We have a full menu. We gathered the city health department menu in order to get this license. Because they would not give us a health department license. We cannot operate without food. We know that 100%. Even health department try to reach out to them. So we need that clarification. Do we need a special permit, food truck, to operate one?
Yes.
I mean, so in order to have an 8 commissary, you have to have a special food truck permit?
Only if they running.
Yeah, they're not running. And so what did we do wrong? What did he do wrong?
Well, my understanding in the first place is that you operated beyond the 1-year special use permit, and that is in itself is a violation. And that is at least one of the reasons that the city is recommending a denial on this. Yes, sir.
When you say we operated after that special use permit, like this is from I think last week, this is my first time ever seeing this language. So it's really frustrating to us because when we brought this to y'all last year, I felt like this language right here should have came up, but it never did. The language we was going off of was a minor food truck park was operating trucks 2 or more. So when it said 2 or more, that's the language I'm going off of. I bumped it down to where we only running 1 truck at a time. So I'm not considered a food truck park. I'm not operating as a food truck park. I just have 7 other trailers here that's doing commissary, and I just have this one right here operating. In the language that we were reading and going by, I understand it expired and new stuff came up, but the language we was going by, we wasn't operating as a food truck park. We was only operating as 1 truck at a time like everybody else does. Toyota, Big Lots, Lowe's parking lot. So that's what a miss or the disconnect is or was. Nobody was trying to violate any laws. It was just, do we really need this permit if we only operate 1 truck at a time? That's what we were.
Kyle, is the difference C1 versus C2, which is Lowe's, is in the bigger classification than C1? Is that the difference?
Yeah, the ability to have 1 at a time is specific to the zoning categories you see here, C2, PCD, whatever. And I can't speak for every property that there is a food truck operating, but to be compliant, they would need a transient vendor permit and also need to be within one of these categories. The applicant's property is not zoned one of these classifications, so the only way to have mobile food unit or a transient vendor, would be to have the special use permit. So it's kind of an exception made to be able to have that activity within the light retail or C1, which is light retail with no outdoor display or storage. So it's kind of a exception and approved on a case-by-case basis. I would say that the intent for a food truck park is to have, it essentially be a primary use or standalone operation. So if there was to be one approved, there should be a range. It should be a minimum of 2, up to, whatever's established by council. So I don't think it was ever the intent to approve food truck parks to have one food truck that's effectively operating accessory to another business such as a lounge or a restaurant. So so again, the intent was not to have one operating by itself in C1. The intent is to have a food truck park, which is 2 or more, 2 to 5 or 2 to 8 or 9, which is what the applicant's requesting. And so if there was a decision to proceed, with an extension or another approval of some sort, then our recommendation would be to establish a minimum number to be more consistent with what the intent of the code is.
Thank you. It's not my decision, it's the commission's decision, but I think there is a possibility of a short extension of time, 6 months maybe, to make sure that every city ordinance and every city rule y'all are complying with. And, that's just, in my mind, a possibility, but we do have pretty clear violations in this situation. And I believe that I was here when the special use permit was approved, and someone, whether it's me or somebody else, always says this is a one-year opportunity. And once you go beyond that, we're beginning to have some violations.
So that's why I'm confused at, like, we got 1 year, the special use permit was expired. All right, once that expired, in our heads, cool, we don't have that. So we're not operating, or we're not even considered a food truck park. So by us just running one truck, we thinking in our heads we're not violating any rules, because it takes 2 or more to operate at one time to be considered a food truck park. And we just have the one food truck out there operating, and we have food inside. So that's where the confusion is, because everybody else can have, Rufus can have one food truck, and they weren't considered a food truck park. I understand that we did apply for it or whatever, but when it expired, we wasn't operating as a food truck park. We were just a regular place with one food truck operating and a commissary. That's it.
But at the same time, when we go out here, he should give us a little grace period so we can fix everything, instead of just shutting us down on the spot.
Like, we didn't know. Like, honestly, the first time that I seen this language was when he showed it to me at the office. Well, he showed it to me at the location. That was it. It was my thing. I kept going back and forth with him. It's like, well, I never seen this. This didn't come up in a meeting we had last year. We Googled the language of whatever from like different places, like Tyler Austin, just trying to come up with the guidelines of a food truck park or a special use permit, what to go by.
So to clarify, Kyle, was this language the same language that existed in 22 and 23 when the special use permit would have needed to have been renewed? Or has this changed, this ordinance, on what zoning is allowed to have a food truck park at all, or a food truck?
No. The ability to have a transient vendor permit has been C2,
Same.
and yeah, it's been the same.
Okay, I thought it was.
And
So I guess
so-
that's the misunderstanding then, is that they felt like you don't have to be in any particular zone to be able to have one.
Right.
But in actuality, their zoning, if I'm understanding, your zoning does not allow for even one without a special use permit. And so that's where the misunderstanding in the verbiage.
That's correct. So
Rested.
there may, when the applicant or when the owners became aware of the expiration, at least from the city making them aware of that, if they had stopped having more than one, then they would not have been in violation of that aspect of it. What there would be a compliance issue is this section here. So yes, maybe they would not have been in violation of having two or more on the property at a time, but I guess it would also be this part of the code where that property would not have allowed it at all anyways.
Thanks.
And Lowe's allows it because it's a C2 or a special.
If they're
That's
C2,
one of
then
the-
yes.
One of the above listed.
So basically, from my
Zones.
understanding, not to cut you off,
No, but
so everybody that has at least one food truck operating on their property either gotta be zoned for it or have a special use permit? For as, like we say, Lowe's, Toyotas, Rufus, Ruby's, like,
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank y'all for your time and presence here.
can we address the violations of the police
Yeah.
laws?
Yeah.
Can you address that?
The,
Didn't understand there were some problems from a police standpoint.
Yeah, I think that was just calls for service in the past year or so.
yeah, I have called myself,
Yeah.
but it was no big issues. I mean, I just felt like people, you know how people stand around in the parking lot and may cause problems, so I just called the police, like, hey, can you just come through, get them out the parking lot? But it was nothing, I feel like major or anything like that. I mean, we never got a warning or anything in the mail about noise violation. The police never came and said, hey, y'all are too loud or this is going on or anything like that. I never got any notices like that.
Again, thank y'all for your time and presence here. Are there others in the audience who would like to speak on this item? Any other comments or questions from the commission? The staff recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
I still have a little question.
Sure.
Typically, I know we have kind of 1 year is typically the minimum we would do. Is that really the minimum, or, I mean, could we do a 6 month just to let them have the time to smooth things out and reevaluate it at that point?
So the duration is established by city council, so 6 month, they have approved 6 month SUPs before. They can do anywhere, any time frame really.
Okay.
And so I think if that was something that was being considered, it'd be good to know what what the conditions or criteria, what would be recommended for that extension. I think the applicant's asking for nine food trucks in the location. Can you go back to the layout? In these locations, the food trucks that they do, the one was operating was not in any of these locations. It was closer to the road. They do have some stored there. I don't know if they've ever been operating there, but there was one right there in the middle of that road parking. So if there was any approval, again, from a compliance standpoint, it would have to be subject in compliance with this layout. The number And then, like I mentioned before, the intent, again, is not to approve food truck parks for one unit. So, the intent is to have, again, that is, its own thing, and the minimum is always two. And so if there's gonna be one operating, like the applicants mentioned, then that's, just from a market standpoint, that's all that's kind of, come to fruition, then that doesn't seem like that's the intent of,
And
approving
so
that.
that would require a separate hearing on that issue. On a one, or is that just not gonna be allowed in this situation?
It would be allowed if there's not a condition on minimum number operating at one time.
So that leads me to a question, I guess, for Todd and Tay. If I understand, a minute ago you said that the business model is not feasible for multiple food trucks, but the application is for 9. I don't know if I understand the intent of what the business model is to go forward. Is it one permanent vehicle, or is there 9 that you're proposing to go forward with when you said that it doesn't support multiple food trucks?
Sir, come to the microphone.
Well, the 9 was actually 8, and that's how many food trucks that we can have like plugged in. So that's actually for commissary. When we came for the special use permit, that was just for multiple trucks operating at one time. So these trucks that's there now, they just stationary, and people come prep, they get their trailer, go to another destination, come back, dump water, clean water, put stuff back up. That's it. So it never worked to where we was gonna have 5 or more trucks or 2 or more trucks running at one time. The most trucks we ever had running at one time was 3 trucks. That's it. And right now we only just have like 1 truck maybe operating in the morning, it shuts down, and maybe another truck operating at night or the next day. That's it. It was only 1 truck at a time. So the rest of the trucks are really just there for commissary purposes. Maybe 2 trucks out of all the trucks we have for commissary actually operate.
In that location?
Yes, sir, on that location. And where the trucks are stationed on that paper, that's where we initially said that, yes, the trucks would be, but we didn't know that there would be a problem because the parking really wouldn't change, that some of the trucks want to move up front where they'd be more noticeable. That's the only reason we moved the trucks up front, because you couldn't see them in that back corner off the road and they wasn't making any money. So we thought it'd be fair, it's like, hey, just move up to the front. But not saying that all 5 or 6 or 7 trucks would be up front running at one time. If that was the case, if we was lucky enough to have all trucks running at one time, it would be back in the back of the parking lot. But that's why if you drive by, you might see 1 or 2 trucks up front. That's because they wasn't getting any business. That's the only reason.
Could y'all go back to the slide with the requirements with the red box around it?
Just for clarification, so the layout that's approved is intended to be where the trucks will operate. And so I'm not sure if I understand if there's a little bit of confusion as to whether that plan indicates where they'll be stored and then they can operate anywhere on the property. If that's the understanding, then that's not correct. That the applicant should supply the layout that shows where they're gonna operate on the property.
So if they want to operate
our
up
understanding-
towards the road, they need to show that on this.
Exactly,
plan.
so if I understand correctly, if they were moved to the front of the property, that was a violation of the site plan that was approved. If the applicant wants to make it clear that that is how they want to operate a food truck park on this property, then that layout has to be updated to reflect that. Go ahead.
Nobody never, that was the place where we would store the trucks, you know what I mean? And if we had multiple trucks running at one time, but no one ever said that we couldn't, or that would be a violation if we moved the trucks. We've just looking at it as like, can't nobody see us back here from the road, and I have you know, owners asking, well, hey, can we move up front where we be more noticeable? And then too, I mean, if we redraw the layout, I mean, the trucks move at different spots, it just depends on what they need to do.
Well, and so if they're not actually selling food, then they don't necessarily need to be on the layout, correct? Because if they're just there to use the commissary, then that's not really a part of this special use permit, is that correct?
That's correct,
They
that,
don't need to be there.
yeah.
So then would it be appropriate for us to maybe table this and allow the gentleman to work with the planning office for the proper permitting with the proper number of trucks that matches their business plan so that everybody's on the same page and look at it at the next session? Would that be an appropriate course of action here?
Well, in the meantime, they would not be allowed to operate.
Correct.
It seems like they need a transient vendor permit, which they cannot receive unless we give them a special use permit to then receive, and that would just be for one in C1, is that correct? They're maxed out. And how many transient vendor permits?
Or would the food truck have to get it?
I
We
thought
would need
that
a
was just for,
special
like,
use
one of them.
permit, and they would need like the vendor, but, I mean, I have a food trailer myself, and I don't even remember, I just remember getting I think at the time was a green sticker, and I was good to go, as long as the county was, yeah.
So any mobile food truck that operates in any location at any point in time, by itself, it has to have the transient vendor permit. And the C2 property owner, that would allow that transient vendor permitted truck to operate there for a period of time. But I think back to what the question really is I don't think the business and the request match. It sounds more like it's a storage facility for food trucks, not where they're selling and preparing food within the truck. Because if you call it a commissary, and that's what it is the food being prepped and stored inside the stationary, the building,
Yes.
then
And
it's,
they also sell food, like, so from my understanding, well, I know, is they use me as a commissary. If they want to set up outside their commissary, they can and sell food, or they can prep their food, get their trailer or truck, and go to another location, and just come back to me and, you know, clean up and put up their food and get ready for the next day.
it's a different business.
So with the special use permit, and we closing down, like Tay says, it's not just us, it's 6 other vendors that's closed and can't operate, because if your commissary is not open and up and running, you can't operate nowhere. You have to have a functioning commissary to even run a food truck.
Well, is it the commissary that lost the,
Yeah,
is part of that as well?
Two
The
separate,
commissary, or, oh, they're two separate?
there's two separate things going on.
So the commissary didn't lose it, it's just the food trucks that lost it?
My understanding is the commissary, the certificate of occupancy, has been suspended for that.
Because
That's a
of-
separate
because of
issue than what
this?
we're talking about right now, though, right? The special use permit.
Right.
The
That's-
special use permit goes into where they're saying we don't have food inside the bar, which we do. So when they shut down the food trucks, they're saying that's where the food is coming from. So you gotta have food coming inside, so therefore they came and voided the CO. And the issue with that is, as far as the paperwork I filled out, last year, it was a spot to where I put bar and lounge, and I should have put restaurant and commissary. It's a spot where I was supposed to check food, and I didn't check food. And I think at the bottom of the paper, I put restaurant, I shouldn't have put anything. But as I'm turning this paper in, I'm thinking it's correct, nobody said it was wrong. 5 or 6 people signed off on it, and then I get it almost 2 years later and saying I filled out the paperwork wrong. And that's the other half of this, that's the other part of this. So I had to redo the paperwork, and I think, David, they should have it now. So So that's what we're waiting on now also, besides this, to see if we get approved.
Well, this has been a lot, it's been a lot of fun. Uh, You know,
I'm willing to do anything y'all tell me to do. It's, to the point now, I have other people, businesses depending on my one business, and they have families to feed like y'all do and everybody else do here. So, I mean, we're willing to work or do whatever y'all say. We're just trying to get up and running. We honestly felt like we was following the rules by the guidelines that the language we had. There was no intention to breaking the rules. I mean, we wanted to come here and get 5-year extension.
May I ask a question? I thought I understood, and now I'm afraid I don't. What we're voting on today is only the special use permit, and the special use permit will allow trucks at this C1 business to sell food from the trucks. This gentleman has another issue, which is that the building operates as a commissary for these trucks or others, and that we are not doing anything at all with today.
Correct.
Okay, so our vote is only, do we allow them a special use permit for trucks to be in the parking lot in these designated spots selling food from their trucks? Correct?
If the applicant intends for them to be sold, to back to the layout, which it doesn't sound like they do, intend for them to be sold in these locations, then yes, what you're asked here is whether the property can have 1 to 9 food trucks in these locations
For selling.
for selling.
For selling from the truck.
Right,
That's all we're voting on.
correct.
Got it.
And it is one would require that.
One would require it. But that, approving a food truck park to have one, when that's been the model, would not be in keeping with the intent of having food truck parks in C1 properties. The intent would be to have small scale food courts, 2 to 4 to 5 or so, operating kind of by itself. And so if what I'm hearing is that this layout is not what the applicant intends to do in terms of selling or having operating food trucks selling on the property. If that's the case, then I think this needs to come back with what the applicant plans to, where they plan to have the trucks selling on the property, and then also whether they feel having a minimum of 2 is worth doing this side of the business.
And today, the location cannot be changed where these are shown. Is that correct?
Right, I understand that maybe there was some confusion as to
Where,
that this did not indicate where they can operate, but from an ordinance standpoint, from the city standpoint, this does indicate only where they can operate. So, again, like I said,
and we can't change that today? Or can?
I wouldn't recommend doing it in the moment, no.
So, Kyle, so basically what you're saying is that if I get approved, I can't have 1 or 2 trucks up front, they have to be right here in the back corner?
That's the effect of what this is showing us. And so if that's not your intent, if you do want them near the front, near Broadway, then we would need to see that.
Because I have plugs all here for the food trucks. It was just basically this where, like, the commissary can people store their trucks. I don't think we ever said that they had to sell from right here. But, yeah, I wouldn't put 5 or 6 trucks up front. I would, you know what I mean? Like, my issue was, I didn't think it was a big deal to move 1 or 2 trucks up here where they can get notice where they can actually make money, like back here in the back corner, nobody could see them.
Where those three are shown there, would you be able to operate from those three locations, the three that are in line with the parking lot?
I could try, I mean, if that's what I need to do, I mean, I'll do it. I mean, I just have to tell the people who own the truck, you have to sell from
You know,
that
if we did
spot.
this for 6 months, it would give you a way to get going for 6 months and then
Okay,
potentially change something.
sounds good.
I mean, that's just an option.
My recollection is that part of the appeal of this application in the very first place, when I was here, was that this little area in the back here would be sort of not visible to the public, and it would create a sort of a privacy issue as far as exposure to the public. Is that your recommended recollections, Kyle? I mean, that's mine. I don't.
My understanding, I think city council's understanding was, what you're seeing here is where the activity will be, where they'll be operating. That's the food truck park, that's the court. I don't think there was any understanding that food trucks will be operating close to Broadway. And now, again, if that's what the applicant wants to do, then this needs to be updated to reflect that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If, say we store all the trucks right here and we operate one truck, would it be harmful to move just one truck up front like everybody else have their trucks like out by the road where people can see them? Because you go anywhere, pretty much the food truck is close by the road where it's visible. I understand if I have like 3 or 4 trucks, but just one truck?
It seems to me like probably the cleanest path forward would be to have a zoning change. Because I think the ones that you're referring to, most of those are C2. And so the outdoor storage is kind of what kind of comes into play there. That's my understanding.
I mean, I don't know, I would have to find out what zone the other places are up under to see, but I just know we're C1, so.
I would say the answer to your question, Mr. Kane, is when we review this layout, we are looking at ensuring that there's good fire access and for all the other requirements that come into play. If we don't know where they're actually gonna be operating, I don't think we can make a recommendation to this body or to city council as to whether that is a good layout. As it stands right now, what's shown here, that's what everybody's understanding is of how this is gonna operate on the property. So, to answer your question, whether it's okay or not okay to move them close to Broadway, we would need to know more details to be able to make that evaluation. But it would be, the location put on this layout would be what's allowed and what's not allowed, is essentially the case. And that was the understanding as to what we're looking at here, is this is where they're gonna be, this is the land use that you're proposing for the property, where you have, like David said, you have this little area at the back of the property that's not being utilized for anything but overflow parking, but instead council authorized food trucks to operate back there for a unique, operation. But that doesn't sound like that was what you intended in the first place.
What do you mean, like?
Is to have the food truck park back here,
Well,
like this suggests.
I intended for it to be that, but we was only operating the most 3 at a time. And like I said, nobody could see those 3 trucks back there. Now, if I was running, or we was running 5, 6, 7, 8 trucks all at one time, I felt like it would have been more noticeable, so, and our area was like, cool, everybody else have their, 1 or 2 trucks up by the street where they're noticeable, so we didn't think it was wrong. I mean,
I can't speak for the council, but I can speak for P and Z, and I don't believe it was our intent to have this row operations that close to Broadway or exposed to Broadway at all.
What if we move the truck, like say if, I mean, I'm just giving an example, I mean, we can put them back where you want them, but even if they're done operating them, you put them back in the stored location?
I don't think it was the intent for those locations to be there.
Yeah, what's shown
Either
here
the
is
ci-
operating.
Either the Planning and Zoning Commission or the City Council.
Okay.
I can't speak for them, but they can speak for themselves.
And Mr. Chairman, I might also add that if we start messing with the site plan today, then this is what's been presented today, and the public wouldn't have had any notice of what the ultimate plan's going to be. So I would just raise that caution. So I can see why planning and zoning would want a detailed plan of where everything is, and that just lets the public know, in addition to the commission and the council, of what is actually being proposed.
Thank you, Steve. Christina, you made a couple points earlier. Do you want to attempt a motion or not?
I would move that we allow this business a special use permit for 6 months under the understanding that this site plan that has been provided is what we are approving under the special use permit. My motion would be to approve it for 6 months.
Absent this, in terms of location, where the blue places are, not this long stream of.
That would be the only place they could
Yes.
put them.
The only place that mobile food trucks may be parked are the
All right.
9 locations that are noted on this A1 site plan.
I think that's
I second.
helpful and fair to all. And motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's pay attention to what the ordinance wants, and, because that's what we're gonna respond to. And it shouldn't be this complicated.
I have one more question.
We're done on this item. You can talk to the staff after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next is Z25-019 Clean Life Builders LLC.
This is a zone change from C2, General Commercial District, to R1D, Single Family Residential District. The applicant is requesting the zone change to build 2 single-family homes on the 2 lots that are there located east of the northeast intersection of 10th Street and Dave Street. The adjacent properties to the north and west are Zone R1A, Single-Family Residential District, and are developed with single-family homes. The properties to the south and east are Zone M1, Light Industrial District, and the properties to the south are developed with warehouse uses, while the property to the east is undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies the property as light industrial warehouse. This request would amend the future land use guide to single-family and single-family attached medium high density. The proposed details, the applicant is requesting the zone change to build 1 single-family home on each lot there. In 2013, the property was rezoned to the current zoning of C2, General Commercial District, to allow for the development of office and warehouse uses. Dave Street is currently not a platted right-of-way, and any residential development on the adjacent lots would necessitate the construction of a street that complies with the city's minimum design standards. This request does not adequately align with the character of the surrounding businesses in the area. So as you can see there, there are multiple warehouses right there, right in front of the property. Of the 10 notices mailed, no notices were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. All of the departments have reviewed the application and anticipate no significant impact on services and facilities by the proposed rezoning request. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally inconsistent with the approval criteria. Staff recommends denial of this request.
Thanks, Sheila. Any questions for city staff? If not, are the persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, staff recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we deny Z 25-019.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny this application. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's denied. Next is Z 25020. Alvi, I'm sorry,
Linda Verdi.
Verdi. Omni Landa Verdi. Did I get that close?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sheila.
This is also a zone change from the current zoning of R1A, single-family residential district, to R1D, single-family residential district. The applicant is requesting the zone change to bring the lot into conformance with the Unified Development Code and to subdivide the property into 4 lots on 0.37 acres of land located at the northwest intersection of Britton Avenue and Shaw Street. The adjacent properties to the north are zoned AG, are zoned R1A. The properties to, basically surrounded by R1A and R1B, single-family residential lots. And to the south is the INT, which is the location of a school. The future land use guide identifies the property as single-family and single-family attached. The proposed details for this, the applicant is requesting the zone change in order to subdivide the property into 4 lots. As you can see there, there are 4 homes existing on a single lot. The homes were built in the mid-1930s and 1940s, so they've been there for a while. 2 of the homes are occupied, and the other 2 are currently undergoing renovations. The requested R1D zoning would allow each proposed lot to meet the required dimensional standards and allow the lot to be subdivided. Of the 18 notices that were sent out, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. All other departments have reviewed the application and anticipate no significant impact on services and facilities by the proposed rezoning. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval of this request.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff? Are the persons here who'd like to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. If it's not necessary if you're content. Are there other persons who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is Commissioner like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve item Z 25-020.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Good luck with your project. Next is Z 25-024, Johnny Mass. Sheila?
This is also a zone change from R1A, single-family residential, to a planned multifamily and R1D, single-family residential district. The applicant is requesting the zone change for future development of 4 two-family duplexes and 34 single-family detached homes on the lots that you see there. There are 4 lots containing approximately 4.02 acres of land located south of the southwest intersection of Bellwood Road and Britton Avenue. The adjacent properties to the north are zoned R1A, single-family residential district, and C1, light commercial district, and are currently undeveloped. Adjacent properties to the east and the south are zoned R1A, single-family residential district, and are developed with single-family homes and undeveloped lots. The properties to the west are zoned PMF, planned multifamily residential district, and R1A, single-family residential district, and are developed with the Mount Calvary Baptist Church and undeveloped lots. The adopted Tyler First Future Land Use Guide identifies this property as single-family, medium, low density. This request would amend the Future Land Use Guide to single-family and single-family attached. The applicant is seeking the zone change to support the development of multifamily residential uses on the property. The proposed site plan includes, there will be 6 single-family lots, and I think that is to the front of that. It doesn't really show those lots, and that's on the Britton Avenue side, but it also features 4 duplex units and 34 single-family homes arranged along an interior drive aisle with side access parking. A total of 74 parking spaces will be provided along with a designated common area. The overall residential density is projected to be over 13 dwelling units per acre. Would look at the current site plan does not meet the minimum parking standards, which mandates that 1-bedroom units have 1.5 spaces per unit, and the 2-bedroom units are allowed 2 parking spaces per unit, and an additional proposed, an additional 5% to accommodate visitor parking. Additionally, the proposed density exceeds the allowable unit, doubling permitted units per acre. A zoning designation of R1B would allow for an increased density, supporting up to 7.26 dwelling units per acre. But staff would need to get a more accurate picture of what the proposed density will be after the site plan is compliant with the other requirements. The applicant is working with their architect and engineer on making some edits to that site plan that you see before you. Of the 47 notices mailed, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. All other departments have reviewed the application and anticipate a significant impact on services and facilities by the proposed request. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally inconsistent with the approval criteria. Staff recommends tabling the request to provide the applicant with additional time to further develop the site plan.
Thank you. Any questions for Sheila?
Sheila, was there any word on how long they would need to make the updates or alterations?
I think giving them probably 30 days or to the next meeting would give them adequate amount of time to make sure that they could that we could communicate with them and ensure that the things that we see be displayed on the next site plan.
Thanks.
And would any modifications that they make still leave it out of line with the future land use?
If, with the current, with the future land use guide recommendation as the single-family, medium, low density, I think recommending the R1B instead of what they are, the R1D, that they requested, changing would allow a lower density amount, which would be, which would support the future land use guide identification.
Thank you, Sheila. It seems, 30 days sounds fine to me, but it does seem like there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done on this application. So is there a person here representing the applicant? No? All right, any other questions for city staff? Recommendation is to table for 30 days.
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation and a motion to table Z25-024 for 30 days.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table this for 30 days. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
So that's 6-1. Next is Z25-021 LETC Ventures. Hunter?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. We have a zone change from R1B to R2. The applicant is requesting the zone change for a two-family development located at the northwest intersection of Oakland Avenue and Reeve Street. The adjacent properties to the north and west are zoned RMF Multifamily Residential District and are developed with single-family homes. The adjacent property to the east is zoned C2 General Commercial District and is undeveloped. The adjacent properties to the south are zoned M1 Light Industrial District and are developed with industrial uses. The Tyler Future Land Use Guide identifies this property as single-family, medium, low density. The request would amend the Future Land Use Guide to single-family and single-family attached, medium, high density. The applicant is requesting the zone change in order to allow for the lots to be developed with either a single-family home with an accessory dwelling unit or a two-family duplex. In 2022, the property was rezoned from RMF to R1B. The general area is developed with a mixture of single-family, two-family, and multifamily residences. As of Friday, August 28th, 2025, of the 12 notices mailed, no notices were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. All other departments have reviewed the application and anticipate no significant impact on services and facilities by the proposed rezoning request. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval of the zone change.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff?
Is-
Not
Is there any technical
Mike.
problem with, that it says from zoning RMF to R1D? It does not say from R1B to R1D.
I'm sorry about that.
Is that a legal problem?
Is that how it was posted?
Where does it say that?
Number 8, it says from RMF
Oh,
to
that's the next-
Yeah,
R1D.
we're on 7.
That's the next one.
Huh?
That's the next case.
That's the next case.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Oh,
never mind.
awesome.
Well, it goes from number 7 goes from R1B to R2.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
that,
fine.
isn't that across the street, this is irrelevant. Isn't that Bill Lust fertilizer plant across there where it says LEDC Ventures? Does anybody remember that besides me? No, okay. Huh? Yeah. So it's not a fertilizer plant there anymore, but it used to be. Okay. Irrelevant. Are there persons here, any questions for city staff? If not, are the persons here who'd like to speak on this item?
Yeah, if you like, but okay.
If are you the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Would you please come to the microphone, just identify yourself?
So, yeah, my name is Matthew Young. I work for LETC Ventures in this case. Live here in town, just, I don't know. I can tell a lot, but.
Any
I don't wanna
questions?
sit
Any
here longer
questions?
than we have to.
Any questions for this gentleman? Are y'all the actual owner, or are you just across the street?
So we are actually, we also own the property across the street. So LATC Ventures is the holding LLC of Stanley's Barbecue.
Okay.
LATC stands for the little engine that could. So we are gonna keep moving, but we also own the property across the street, both sides of the railroad tracks, and then as well as this single lot here.
And y'all are in favor of this application?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for this witness? All right. The recommendation of the city staff is to approve this application. Is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve Z25-021.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been seconded twice. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Application's approved. Next is Z25-022, Reginald Jenkins.
Yes, sir. We have a zone change from RMF to R1D. The applicant is requesting the zone change to build two single-family homes located west of the southwest intersection of North Confederate Avenue and Claude Street. The adjacent property to the west is zoned R1B, single-family residential district, and is currently undeveloped. All other adjacent properties are zoned RMF, multifamily residential property, and are generally developed with single-family homes. The Tyler Future Land Use Guide identifies this property as single-family, medium, low density. The request would amend the Future Land Use Guide to single-family and single-family attached, medium, high density. The applicant is requesting the zone change in order to allow for the lots to be developed with single-family homes. R1D zoning is appropriate zoning to achieve this given the size and shape of the existing lots. As of Friday, August 28th, of the 24 notices mailed, no notices were returned in favor or in opposition to the request. All other departments have reviewed the application and anticipate no significant impact on services and facilities by the proposed rezoning request. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria. Staff recommends approval of the zone change.
Thank you. Any questions for Hunter? Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve item Z25-022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. We are adjourned. I mean, till the, what did we say, the 16th.
If you would like a brief overview, we can do that for you today, and tells you about the house, how it's transformed through the years, and then the families that lived here. Dr. Samuel Adams Goodman and his wife Pamelia, they moved here from South Carolina because he had a brother already living here. Then Dr. Goodman and his wife, they have 4 children. So down here on this bottom row, we have pictures. Starting on the left, little Berta was their first child, but she only lives to be about 2, and we do not have a picture. And their next child was Sally. Sally later marries James LeGrand, thus the Goodman-LeGrand Museum. If you step on out here, we have Dr. Goodman's desk that he used. And we actually have medical books that were his father's as well as his. They date from 1830 to 1890. This was their formal living room. We call it the Gold Room. They would have big parties in the home, up to 400 people. The dining room that we're in now is really only a third of what this room used to be before the fire in 1924. It was Sally Goodman LeGrand and her husband, when they remodeled, they made the room smaller, and then there's a butler's pantry as well as a kitchen. So this is what we consider the master bedroom now. And actually the furniture in here was a wedding gift to Sally and James from her dad when they got married in 1893. And then this bedroom here, we call it Etta's bedroom. She was the youngest of the children, with Dr. Goodman and his wife, Mary Priscilla. We're so glad that you came and visited the Goodman Museum today. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Looking for a day of adventure? Start the journey at Tyler Pounds Regional Airport. Grab a bite at the Sky is the Limit Diner. Step back in time at the Historic Aviation Memorial Museum. Turn your dream into reality and learn to fly at Tyler Pounds Airport. Fly in style with the Jet Center of Tyler. Tyler Pounds, where adventure takes off.
Brandon Davis is our assistant fire marshal. He is invaluable to the department. He has a lot of history here, but he's also a presence in the community as well. He understands the fire code and how to enforce it, but he's also a people person.
I'd worked with Brandon before, on Ladder 2. He was a firefighter and I was a firefighter at the time, so we spent several years together. Working with Brandon was always fun. He's got a great personality and we just hit it off, and the other guys on our truck, we had a great crew. Like having a big frat house almost, as far as cutting up and acting up, but handling business when we need to.
Yeah, so the first 6 years of being a firefighter was an eye-opening experience because I had no experience. Most of us go through life, we don't really have emergencies, and if we do, they're far and few between, but there are people having emergencies every day. It kind of opens your eyes to that, it makes you more empathetic towards it.
You have to have the desire to do something other than the heroic stuff at a station. Those guys respond every day to citizens' calls. Well, in the fire marshal's office, you're heroic as well. You just do it in a preventative method.
So most people look at the fire marshal's office and they think of us as fire code enforcement type stuff, and man, it's so much more than that.
They do investigations, they do inspections. They're also the bomb team as well.
What we're doing is a major part of the fire department. We actually oversee the hiring process for the fire department. So there's a lot that goes into being a fire marshal other than code enforcement.
He understands how it works. He understands the Tyler community, and he does a great job of day in and day out. So he is special. There's no doubt of that.
So most of my free time involves family. Believe it or not, I have 7 grandkids.
Brandon is for sure a call to serve person. He fits the mold perfectly, and I think what every citizen would look at and go, that's exactly what we want for an assistant fire marshal here in the city of Tyler.